The question everyone in America is asking,
am I racist?
Make those moves.
buy your tickets to see Am I Racist in theaters now.
This is all I have. Did you want to?
I can help you guys out.
Yeah.
Go to AmIRacist.com now for showtimes.
I've been told because I'm a white male, kind of at the top of the pile, how do I get down from the top?
I don't think you necessarily can.
How do we get past all the talk about racism?
We have to love each other.
Well, it can't be that simple. How do we get to a point of racial harmony? It's good to talk to you. We're still on a journey, all of us together.
I think you got some journeying to do.
Just talk to me about the statistics. We have an epidemic.
20 million crimes a year, 6,000, 7,000 hate crimes. No, there's no epidemic.
Why are we talking about statistics? This is not a matter of statistics.
Well, you asked me about the statistics.
Am I Racist? Rated PG-13 in theaters now. Go to AmIRacist.com for tickets and showtimes now.
For those of you who missed this week's presidential debate because you were doing something more rewarding, like twisting your navel lint into the shape of circus animals, not to worry. The DailyWire is here to bring you this handy blow-by-blow recap. The debate began with a question from David Muir, ABC's crack anchorman. And when I say crack, I mean butt crack. The butt crack anchorman asked Kamala, quote, "Oh, Mimsy, you're so nummy. Your numminess is yummy. Why does my yummy mummy make my tummy gummy?" Unquote. Vice President Harris responded, quote, "I have a plan to rain destruction on America by controlling food prices so that grocery store shelves are empty, crippling the energy industry for no discernible reason, and leaving babies to die if they violate a woman's right to choose by surviving an abortion. Also, Trump's golf game sucks," unquote. President Trump responded, quote, "What do you mean my golf game sucks? I have a great golf game. Some say I have the greatest golf game anyone can remember. I would be playing great golf right now if the Biden-Harris administration hadn't flooded our country with illegal immigrants who are eating our cats." But at this point, ABC's Lindsay Davis interrupted, saying, quote, "I have to stop you there, Mr. President. We have many other things we want to discuss besides the issues. For instance, President Trump, can you explain to the nation why I hate you so very much? This is not your ordinary hatred. This is an obsessive detestation. It has caused me to violate every principle of journalism until I disgrace the profession with my seething, livid, bug-eyed presence. Why have you done that to me?" Unquote. President Trump responded, quote, "I have won many, many golf tournaments, and my handicap is now under 3, unquote. At this point, Vice President Harris announced she would end the war in Gaza by ensuring Iran developed nuclear weapons and killed all the Jews before bombing America to rubble. And she added that Trump's rallies were boring. Screaming that his rallies were in fact terrific, Trump went into a rage, grabbed Harris, and dragged her out of the studio, holding her in one hand as he clawed his way up the side of the Empire State Building with the other. David Muir flew after them in a weaponized biplane, screaming, "Don't worry, Mimsy, I'm coming to save my yummy, nummy mummy." He then opened fire on Trump with the biplane's machine guns in what the Washington Post described as, quote, "the greatest act of journalism since journalism became an attempt to shoot Donald Trump with a biplane's machine guns," unquote. In the wake of the debate, opinions were divided. 85% of women who hadn't been laid in over a year were very impressed with Harris's performance. "She really rocked that lovely pantsuit," said one young woman named Brian Stelter. "And when she walked across the stage and invaded that scary man's space, she was such a girl boss, I burst into tears and spent the rest of the day in bed." Miss Stelter then burst into tears and got back into bed, sobbing, "Why did I ever return to CNN? I feel so invisible," unquote. On the other hand, 75% of men with operational sexual equipment felt Trump had done an excellent job of climbing up the Empire State Building with only one hand free. And they added that the ABC moderators had been so unfair, they decided to join a militia and overthrow the government. Commentators also took different sides. For instance, on the right, Tucker Carlson said the debate was the result of a secret deal struck between invisible demons pretending to be space aliens and CIA agents in league with the Jews. Carlson said he knew he would be canceled for courageously attacking sacred cows, although possibly it would just be because he was babbling like some kind of nutcase. On the left, the New York Times, a foreign newspaper, ran an editorial saying, quote, "Kamala Harris has proved herself to be the sort of woman we would include in a throuple if we were heterosexual," unquote. To which David Muir added, "Oh, my mummy, nummy, mummy, mummy, yummy mummy," unquote. Trigger warning, I'm Andrew Klavan, and this is The Andrew Klavan Show.
They gon' say I'm racist, but they call everybody racist. I guess that mean nobody is racist. Now it doesn't mean much when you say it. When you say it, they gon' say you racist.
All right, my friends, here we are again, laughing our way through the dark night of the soul. This is the time, right this moment, to go out and order A Woman Underground. If you're going to buy it, if you're going to buy it for someone for Christmas, buy it now. This is the story of Cameron Winter, the fourth in the series of the Cameron Winter mysteries, in which he has to race a killer to find an old flame. They're both looking for the same woman, and he's got to get to her before the killer does, going through an America that's been torn apart by violence on both sides. Also, Tuesday night's debate made one thing clear. Mainstream media will do anything to silence our voices and bury the truth. That's why we exist. DailyWire Plus gives you unlimited access to the truth with uncensored daily shows, free from ads or moderators, live breaking news coverage, and the hard-hitting investigative journalism the left doesn't want you to see. Join the fight today at dailywire.com/subscribe and use code FIGHT for 47% off new Daily Wire Plus memberships. This deal is for a very limited time. Join the fight now, dailywire.com/subscribe with code FIGHT for 47% off. Also, leave a comment wherever you watch this. Leave a comment whether you watch it on Daily Wire Plus or, try to get through the censorship on YouTube. Leave a comment. And if that comment absolutely is disgusting morally and in every way possible, we will read it on the air because that's who we are. Today's comment is from Savvy Symbiont, it looks like. Comment says, I'm enjoying the YouTube censorship on your channel. Well, I'm glad somebody's enjoying it because that's the way we want you to be. We want you to be happy in the situation that we're in. All right, we're going to get right to the politics. That's all anybody can think about right now, so let's talk about the politics. But please hang around for the Klavan Klapbacks at the end of the show, because I want to ask you all a question, and I'd like to hear from you and get some responses. But let's get right to today's episode, The Media Despises You. Now, the biggest shock of the debate this week, and we were covering it obviously on the backstage, was that it pissed me off. I almost never get angry at politics. And the reason I never get angry at politics is because I believe that politics is just the world in action. And those of us who have read the Bible knows the world does not belong to us. It's a bad place run by the enemy of mankind. And so politics is just what I expect it to be. And I'm never taken aback by it. But there are two things that actually still make me angry. And this was one of them. And I was so angry that during the backstage, while I was off camera, I was pacing around. I'm never like this. I was just pacing around, and I was so, I lost my attention so much that I kept bumping into the floor lights. So I kept kicking them again and again because I kept pacing the same place until finally Jeremy reminded me that if you keep doing the same thing, you get the same results, which at least made me laugh. So let me explain why I got so angry. We will get right to Chapter 1, what I saw at the debate. Tossing and turning all night is a frustrating experience for many people. For me, it's just nighttime. But when sleep seems elusive, it can be both physically and mentally draining. That's why I love Beam. It's not just your run-of-the-mill sleep aid. It's a concoction carefully crafted to help you slip into the sweet embrace of rest, even if you're me, and when you wake up, you won't have the grogginess that often accompanies other sleep remedies. Beam Dream contains a powerful, all-natural blend of reishi, magnesium, L-theanine, apigenin, and melatonin to help you fall asleep, stay asleep, and wake up refreshed. I've tried it many times. It actually tastes great, and it works. Today, my listeners get a special discount on Beam's Dream Powder, their best-selling hot cocoa for sleep with no added sugar. It's now available in delicious flavors like cinnamon cocoa, chocolate peanut butter, and mint chip. Better sleep has never tasted better. Just mix Beam Dream into hot water or milk and enjoy before bedtime. If you find yourself battling the bedtime blues, give it a shot. Your weary self will thank you. If you want to try Beam's best-selling Dream Powder, take advantage of 40% off for a limited time when you go to shopbeam.com/Klavan and use code Klavan at checkout. That's shopbeam.com/Klavan with my promo code Klavan for up to 40% off your order. And I know what you're saying. You're saying Beam. Anyone can spell Beam. How do you spell Klavan, please? It's Klavan. So at this point in my life, there are actually only two things that instantly make me angry. One is if someone gets in the way of my work because of stupidity. I don't mind if people get in the way of my work because of hostility or evil, because I can deal with hostility and evil, but stupidity is hard to fix, and when that happens, I do get annoyed. But the other thing is when people betray or abuse my friends. I really dislike that, and it really makes me angry. It makes me angrier than when they abuse or betray me, because I feel like I can handle that by crushing them beneath my heel. But when people betray or abuse my friends, I'm usually not around. And American journalists have so thoroughly betrayed and abused my fellow Americans that I find it difficult to forgive. I really would not, it would not bother me if the ground opened up and swallowed a lot of these guys. And I'll tell you why. In university, I took one journalism class. I probably was just filling in. I didn't really pay much attention when I was in college. And I took one journalism class, and I wrote an essay. And the essay got very well. I got like an A+. And the essay was on the new form of journalism where they would talk to you in a more friendly way. It used to be there would be these kind of statues who would report the news. And I wrote an essay about how they always use the word you. So they would say, good news for you. You'll be glad to hear that they're expanding your local freeway or something like that. And the reason I thought this was odd, because in fact, I wasn't glad to hear they were expanding my freeway, because I know that when you expand a freeway, it actually increases traffic. It doesn't lessen traffic, it increases it. And so the question that I asked in this essay was, who is you? That was the name of the essay, who is you? And it turns out over time, you is them. When they're talking what you think, they're telling you what they think. And when they say the American people, what they mean is them, the people they know, the elites, the people who can afford the inflation, the people who don't notice the inflation because they don't notice the price of eggs because they sent their maid out to get the eggs, and so they're not buying them. They're not really realizing how much this is tearing people apart. So they can say, why don't Americans understand how good the economy is? Because they're not facing these things. So when they say you, they mean them. And when they find out that you actually are you, they get very angry and upset because they hate you. They hate you to the depths of their spoiled, stupid, self-obsessed souls. And this really was so evident in this debate. I've talked about this campaign as a male versus female event, which I think is true. A study this week, it was in Psychology Today, I don't know when they did it, but I was reading it in Psychology Today, showed that when you inject a man with testosterone, he becomes a Republican. This is true. I'm not making this up. If you inject a man with testosterone, he will become a Republican. And I'm guessing that a corollary of that is when you inject a woman with a man who has testosterone, she too will become a Republican. Because it's a question of wanting to be free versus wanting to be taken care of. I think that's the difference. If you want the government if you want somebody to take care of you and you don't have a man to take care of you, you want the government to take care of you. And I got a letter once, I said that on the air once, I got an angry letter from a woman saying, I take care of myself. And I thought, yeah, then why are you voting Democrat? Because that's what the Democrats are always telling you they're going to do. And by the way, I just want to add here as a side note, this is a tangent, but I want to add that I don't mean to insult Brian Stelter when I call him a woman. During COVID, he missed a deadline. He said on the air, he missed a deadline because he needed to go to bed and have a good cry. So I'm just following the science. But this election is not just a battle between the male and female aspects of America. It's also a reckoning with the media, which is now simply an organ of obviously of the administration, of the regime, as they say. But it's gone so far. They have lied to us about so much, again and again and again. While trying to censor us for misinformation, they've lied to us about COVID and the vaccine and about Hunter Biden, about Trump and Russia, about Biden's intelligence, whether he could still do the job, on and on and on. And so the question is, are we going to eventually ditch them? And this is one of this theory I have that I've been putting forward, that we in the commentariat haven't caught up with the American people, that they're ahead of us in ditching the media and actually taking in their news in different ways. Some of them have gone off the rails. They've been lied to so much they're believing conspiracy theories and craziness and stupidity. But the majority of Americans are starting to pay attention in different ways. So at the end of the debate, if you had asked me or just about anybody, I think, who had performed better at the debate, I would have said Kamala. Kamala was well prepared. I expected her to be well prepared. They were leaking information that she wasn't well prepared, and I thought that was a ruse de guerre. I thought they were just kind of throwing us off. But But it's a stupid question, isn't it? The media always wants to transform you into their perfect customer. They want to make you into a person who is hypnotized by performance instead of facts, by sound bites instead of content. But that's them. That's when they say you, that's them. It's not necessarily you. Now, Trump, on the other hand, was his usual rambling self. He's unable to resist responding to personal attacks. But he was also something else. I said on Backstage before the debate, I said the two positive things that I could look for from Donald Trump was, one, that he didn't attack Kamala personally with the usual Trumpian personal attacks. I think that puts women off. And the reason that's important is he's got all the men. All the men who are men are going to vote for Trump. That's it. All the men who have enough testosterone in them to continue to operate as men are going to vote for Trump. But the women are the ones where I think he can win a few women over by appealing to their common sense and their sense of judgment. But it puts women off when a great big man is unkind to a woman. And I don't blame them. I wouldn't, it's intimidating and it's wrong and it's bullying. I don't like it either about Donald Trump. It's one of the things he really does put me off with. But when you do it to a woman, I think women just recoil at that. So I thought if he doesn't do that, that would be one good thing. And I was saying this on Backstage before the debate. And the other was if the media ganged up on him. And both of those things happen. I think that Trump, Kamala did perform better, so the media will think she won and they'll go around saying she won. But my feeling is that Trump's restraint and the media bias left a mark. And what will happen, what you will see, and you're seeing it already. I mean, obviously, I couldn't have known it when I was on Backstage, but you're seeing it already. That Trump's numbers, his internals in terms of who people trust to handle the economy and to handle security are going to actually go up. And I think that's happening. I think they had a thing out of Pennsylvania, an urgent swing state saying that they trusted Trump. People trusted Trump on the economy. This is a place where prices have gone up something like 20% since Biden-Harris became president and vice president. And so the fact that they trust Trump on the economy, I think 8% higher, is very important. So that's what I think happened. So let's take a look at what the media did. This is ABC, who is one of the worst of the networks and the news outlets. This is the network that hired George Stephanopoulos, who had no other qualification than the fact that he silenced women who had been raped allegedly and attacked and assaulted, Bill Clinton, who also was accused of repeatedly exposing himself to them. They spiked the Jeffrey Epstein story, probably to protect Hillary Clinton. They let Jeffrey Epstein off the hook because Hillary Clinton was running. ABC is owned by Disney, where the top executive, Dana Walden, is one of Kamala Harris's best friend. And Disney, just on a personal note, well, it's not a personal note, but if my friend Cyrus Nowasta, who is a great director and screenwriter, he did a show on ABC called The Path to 9/11, which showed how Bill Clinton's affair with Monica Lewinsky made him hesitate to kill Osama bin Laden when he had the chance, and that allowed 9/11 to happen. And the network still this was one of the best, most watched miniseries in history, and they still haven't released it on DVD or streaming because they do not want the truth to come out. This is, to me, if you have to lie about what you believe, you should change what you believe. But on the left, if you have to lie what you believe, you keep lying. And that's one of the things I want to talk about. So repeatedly, over and over again, the media, these two moderators, and why there should be moderators in a debate, I don't know. It's because the media wants to turn you into them. But David Muir, who is an absolute hack and a left-wing hack, and Lindsay Davis, they repeatedly fact-checked. They never fact-checked Kamala once, but they fact-checked Trump 5 or 6 times it had to be, and they were wrong every single time, and Trump was right every single time. And if that reminds you of anything, it's the Trump administration, because that happened repeatedly. So here they fact-checked him on abortion. This is clip 1.
They even have, and you can look at the governor of West Virginia, the previous governor of West Virginia, not the current governor, who's doing an excellent job, but the governor before. He said the baby will be born and we will decide what to do with the baby. In other words, we'll execute the baby. And that's why I did that, because that predominates. I did a great service in doing it. It took courage to do it. And the Supreme Court had great courage in doing it. And I give tremendous credit to those 6 justices.
There is no state in this country where it is legal to kill a baby after it's born.
Lies. That's a lie. That is a simple lie. And of course, it's Virginia, not West Virginia, so Trump made a mistake. They could have fact-checked him on something where he was actually wrong. He corrected it later on. There is no federal... there is no federal protection for babies born alive after an abortion. Babies who are born, children who are born. So the feds don't protect them. 35 states have some protection, but 3 states, New York, Illinois, and Minnesota, which is under the current vice president candidate, Tim Walz, have actively removed the protections for babies born alive. And an additional 12 states have never had protections for these babies. So yeah, you can't kill them, but you can leave them to die. And that has apparently happened at least 8 times in Minnesota, which makes Tim Walz a serial killer, essentially. That's murder. That is killing a baby. That's all it is. So Trump was right. Lindsay Davis, wrong. Then they were talking about crimes stats, which Trump said that crime was going through the roof. This is cut 3.
Crime in this country is through the roof. And we have a new form of crime. It's called migrant crime. And it's happening at levels that nobody thought possible.
President Trump, as you know, the FBI says overall violent crime is actually coming down in this country. But Vice
Excuse me,
President Harris,
the FBI they were defrauding statements. They didn't include the worst cities. They didn't include the cities with the worst crime. It was a fraud. Just like their number of 818,000 jobs that they said they created turned out to be a fraud.
Trump, right. David Muir, wrong. Somebody should have been there to fact check the fact checkers. Over 6,000 police agencies have not reported to the FBI, including Los Angeles, New York, and other high crime Democrat cities, Democrat-controlled cities from New York to San Francisco they've decriminalized violent crime because of these George Soros prosecutors. In New York City, 52% of violent felony cases are downgraded to misdemeanors, and offenders are typically offered diversion agreements that keep these offenses out of crime statistics. So the crimes have skyrocketed, but they're not being reported. And that could have, just George Soros prosecutors alone could account for a 50% or more drop in reported violent crimes. All right, and then there's this hilarious, not so hilarious really thing about Springfield, Ohio, and the Haitian migrants who've been pumped in there, 20,000 of them into a town of 60,000. They're eating people's pets. So they fact-checked them on this too. This is cut 2.
I just want to clarify here. You bring up Springfield, Ohio, and ABC News did reach out to the city manager there. He told us there have been no credible reports of specific claims of pets being harmed, injured, or abused by individuals within the immigrant community.
Well, I've seen people on television.
Let me just say here, this is the
people on television say my dog was taken and used for food. So maybe he said that, and maybe that's a good thing to say for a city manager.
I'm not taking this from television.
But the people on television saying their
manager.
dog was eaten by the people that went there.
So this was where I started to get angry. This was the thing where I'm sitting there. Trump is not just obviously right. What David Muir is saying is shabby, disgustingly deceptive nonsense. Of course the city manager might cover this up. Who are you going to believe? The government or the people telling you their pets are being eaten? It's ridiculous. Now, the other thing about this, of course, is that they only started to cover this. They only started to cover this story when they thought they could make fun of this silly, sounding story. It's not really silly if you have a pet to have it be eaten by a Haitian migrant. But the real story, of course, that they didn't cover at all is that a town of 60,000 people has had 20,000 migrants. Plus, some of this is happening in Colorado, too, where the government is also denying the fact that this Venezuelan gang is taking over parts of the city. But the Venezuelan gang is taking over parts of the city and is coming into the country in Texas as well, while the government denies it. How dare the people in office destroy the lives of Americans by letting people come into the country illegally and then make a joke about it when their animals get devoured? What the hell is wrong? The incredible sense of superiority they have. All right. Now, meanwhile, while Trump is being fact-checked wrongly by lying David Muir and lying Lindsay Davis, Kamala gets away with one lie after another as she tries to distract people from the issues to bring them back to accusations in Trump. Here is just a montage of that we made. This is cut 4.
To desecrate our nation's capital, on that day, 140 law enforcement officers were injured, and some died. Let's remember Charlottesville, where there was a mob of people carrying tiki torches, spewing anti-Semitic hate. And what did the president then at the time say? There were fine people on each side. What you're going to hear tonight is a detailed and dangerous plan called Project 2025 that the former president intends on implementing if he were elected again. And understand what has been happening under Donald Trump's abortion bans. Couples who pray and dream of having a family are being denied IVF treatments. And as of today, there is not one member of the United States military who is in active duty in a combat zone in any war zone around the world, the first time this century.
Now, everything she just said was a lie. Every single thing, a statement she just made there was a lie. And you might think, oh, well, we deceptively cut out David Muir and Lindsay Davis correcting her and fact-checking her. But no, there was nothing to cut out. We didn't have to cut any of it out. And then, of course, there is the fact that Kamala Harris is lying about everything she believes in. So, for instance, this is what she said about taking guns, America's guns away, in the debate, cut 7.
And then this business about taking everyone's guns away. Tim Walz and I are both gun owners. We're not taking anybody's guns away. So stop with the continuous lying about this stuff.
And here's what she said before the debate. This is cut 5.
Do you believe in the mandatory buyback of quote-unquote assault weapons? And whether or not you do, how does that idea not go against fundamentally the Second Amendment?
Yeah, great question. I do believe that we need to do buybacks, and I'll tell you why. First of all, let's be clear about what assault weapons are. They have been designed to kill a lot of human beings quickly. They are weapons of war with no place on the streets of a civil society. I've seen assault weapons kill babies and police officers. So, one, I'll tell you, when elected president, if the United States Congress continues to fail to have the courage to do something about this, I'm prepared to take executive action and put in place a ban on the importation of assault weapons into our country. But we still have to deal with the over 2 million assault weapons that are currently in the streets of America. And so a buyback program is a good idea.
All right, so let's look at what she said in the debate about fracking, for instance, very important in Pennsylvania, cut 6.
I made that very clear in 2020. I will not ban fracking. I have not banned fracking as Vice President of the United States. And in fact, I was the tie-breaking vote on the Inflation Reduction Act, which opened new leases for fracking.
All right, and let's see what she really believes on fracking. It's cut 8.
There's no question I'm in favor of banning fracking. So, yes, and starting with what we can do on day one around public lands, right? And then there has to be legislation. But yes, and this is something I've taken on in California. I have a history of working on this issue. And to your point, we have to just acknowledge that the residual impact of fracking is enormous in terms of the impact on the health and safety of communities.
So again, this election is not just about whether we still have enough men in America to elect Donald Trump and whether there are enough women who have men in America to elect Donald Trump. This is also an election about how people are processing information because the information is out there. I just gave it to you. I'm sure others on the Daily Wire and elsewhere have given it to you. The question is, are people collecting? Remember when they talk about the bounce after a debate, that's not the question. The question is whether the information that you saw in a debate seeps into your consciousness over the next, say, week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. You don't know how long it takes for people to say, now I'm getting more information. I see that Kamala Harris really lied and the media ganged up on Trump and Trump wasn't given a chance. And so you ask the question, who performed better? That's a question for people who are glued to the media, who care about what the media thinks, because Kamala Harris performed better. She didn't ramble as much. She kept on point. She lied convincingly if you are a fool. But if people are getting information in a different way, if they are disgusted with being lied to over COVID, over Hunter Biden, over all the things that were lied to, and have moved on to use the internet in an intelligent way. Now, remember, the people I'm talking about are the people who decide the election. The Democrat voters are not going to change their vote. The Republican voters are not going to change their vote. It's the independents, the people in the middle, the people with open minds. Are those people with open minds still trusting a media that has lied to them repeatedly, in one case about Joe Biden's capacity to be president, were exposed in front of the entire nation during the Trump-Biden debate? Are they going to just say, oh, well, they lied about that, but now they're going to tell me the truth? You know, let me just give a plug. I told you already that please go and pre-order A Woman Underground, the new Cameron Winter book, and I hope that you're doing that as I'm speaking. Again, if you're going to buy it for somebody for Christmas or you're going to buy it for yourself for Christmas, buy it now because that will help get it on the bestseller list, which is important for it. But while you're doing that, you might also want to get Against the Corporate Media, which is a collection of essays by people like Michael Walsh, Bill Whittle, Charlie Kirk, Mark Hemingway, and me. And it's a real close look at some of the stuff that's going on. But the question is, will America, having been lied to, having been abused again and again, will they go back to the well and drink the lies? And I really don't think they're going to. I can't predict the debate, the outcome of the election. They say it's neck and neck. I think Trump's ahead. I think Trump, I'm going to say that right now. I think Trump is further ahead, maybe a good solid 2 or 3 points ahead in this moment. But I can't promise you that that's true. I'm just looking at the way they're behaving and where they're campaigning and the fact they're campaigning in places that should be certain. But the big question is not will they keep listening to the lies, but will they figure out the message that the lies are sending? Because that's what made me so angry. Finding the right mattress can be a real challenge, but I've discovered something that's revolutionized my nighttime, my Helix mattress. It isn't just a place to rest, it's my nightly retreat from the chaos of the day. It's like sinking into a cocoon of comfort that perfectly cradles you. In your case, it'll cradle you to sleep. In my case, it cradles me while I lie awake. Now, Helix isn't about gimmicks or trends. They're laser focused on one thing, giving you the best sleep possible. Their Helix Elite collection includes 6 different mattress models, each tailored for specific sleep positions and firmness preferences. It's almost like they understand that we're all unique individuals with different needs. Imagine that. Feeling uncertain about buying a mattress online? Don't be. Helix has this ingenious sleep quiz that matches your body type and sleep preferences to the perfect mattress, because why would you buy a mattress made for someone else? That's like wearing shoes that don't fit. I took the Helix quiz myself and was matched with a firm but breathable mattress that keeps me comfortable as I lie awake all night. Helix even offers a 10-year warranty and a 100-night risk-free trial. They'll even pick it up if you don't love it. But trust me, I'm telling you, I lie on this thing all night and it is incredibly comfortable. You will love it. It's as satisfying as winning an argument with your in-laws. For a limited time, Helix is offering up to 25% off all mattress orders, 2 free pillows for our listeners. Just go to helixsleep.com/Klavan. That's helixsleep.com/Klavan. That is your best offer yet. It won't last long. With Helix, better sleep starts now. Also, better lying awake for KLAVAN. Chapter 2, What I See in the Lies. So the reason these lies get under my skin are not because the media is lying. I'm used to the media lying. It's because what these lies mean. Okay, here is Bernie Sanders talking very bluntly and honestly, I think, to the far left Bernie Sanders talking to far left Kristen Welker on NBC about Kamala Harris's changes in position and her flip-flopping. Cut 9.
Described Vice President Kamala Harris as a progressive. She has previously supported Medicare for all. Now she does not. She's previously supported a ban on fracking. Now she does not. These, Senator, are ideas that you have campaigned on. Do you think that she is abandoning her progressive ideals?
No, I don't think she's abandoning her ideals. I think she's trying to be pragmatic and doing what she thinks is right in order to win the election.
So she's lying. He's saying openly that she's lying in order to win the election. Now, why would you do that, right? Why would you do that? Why would you lie to win the election? Now, you might say that Republicans lie to win the election, but it's really different. When Republicans lie to win an election, it's because they say they're going to do something that, in fact, they're not going to do. They say they're going to protect gun rights, but they don't protect gun rights, something like that. Because they say what the people want to hear, which is a Republican position, but they don't take the Republican position. That's why they call them rhinos, Republican in name only. This is different. Democrats say they're going to do something that they have no intent, when they intend to do the opposite. They tell people the popular thing, which is the right-wing conservative idea, or at least the middle-of-the-road idea, but they are not going to do it. Just when Obama lied about his support for gay marriage, and then when the horrible Obergefell gay marriage decision came down from the Supreme Court, he instantly lit up the White House in rainbow colors, telling the 50% of the people who disagreed, maybe more than 50%, who disagreed with that decision, that the White House did not belong to them. So before the election, he said, no, God is in the mix. Those were his words, and marriage is between a man and a woman. And when the Supreme Court overturned that, he lit up the White House saying, this country does not belong to you who disagree with that. Not only, he said he had evolved, but in fact, before he said he was against it, he was for it. So he just lied, right? And basically they're telling you that you are not smart enough. You are not smart enough. When David Muir is fact-checking people like in a dishonest way, Lindsay Davis fact-checking people in a dishonest way, they are telling you that they know what's best, but you don't. So they have to lie to you as if you were children to bring you along. They know what's best for you, but you don't. And that's why Trump's closing was so powerful. Let's just listen to a bit of that cut 10.
So she just started by saying she's going to do this, she's going to do that, she's going to do all these wonderful things. Why hasn't she done it? She's been there for 3.5 years. They've had 3.5 years to fix the border. They've had 3.5 years to create jobs and all the things we talked about. Why hasn't she done it? She should leave right now, go down to that beautiful White House, go to the Capitol, get everyone together and do the things you want to do, but you haven't done it and you won't do it.
See, and Joe Biden did the same thing. He said he was going to bring us back to normal. Donald Trump was so evil. He was going to bring us back to normal. And then he went far left. They all do it. They all do it. They lie to you because you don't know what's good for you. They detest you. They despise you. They look down on you. This is the thing that drives me, even as I'm speaking, it drives me a little crazy. They disdain you. They just think you stink. And so if they would just come on as Bernie Sanders thinks you're all on his side. He's a deluded. I think Bernie Sanders is actually mentally ill. Somebody who holds to something that has failed for 80 years is obviously not that well. But still, at least he says what he believes. He's a communist. He says it outside, right out loud. But the rest of them tell you that they are like you. They are kind of conservative. They're right middle, like most of Americans. They lie because they despise you, and the press despises you. I went and saw the premiere of Matt Walsh's new movie, Am I a Racist? And I hope you will go and see it. AmIRacist.com is where you get the tickets. First of all, it's really good. It is really, really good. And at its best, it's fantastic. I mean, there is one scene in this, I won't give it away, but there's one scene in it that I think is one of the best scenes in this kind of movie, a Borat kind of movie. And the difference with Matt is not punching down. I always used to get angry at Borat because even though he was funny, he would make fun of ordinary people, which is not fair. Walsh doesn't do that. He goes after the powerful, the real grift, these real race grifters. However, really good movie. So afterwards, we are in the after party, a very nice after party, and Matt and Jordan Peterson and I are sort of standing together. And Jordan Peterson was saying about how people go along with these things, these idiot ideas, these ideas that are on the face of them idiotic, because it is natural for people to look around at what everybody else is doing and conform to that, feeling that if everybody is doing it, then it must be the right thing. That you don't go outside the kind of basic standards of your society because they must be the right thing. And Jordan said, which I think is absolutely true, he said, normally that's healthy because normally it's true that people don't go around eating cats. So if you feel like eating a cat, you think maybe I won't do that. In other words, in a healthy society, doing what other people are doing and not doing what everybody doesn't do is the right thing to do. When a society becomes sick, then it's bad. When everybody's out killing Jews or when everybody is out lying to you like David Muir lies to you, then it's not a good thing to follow what they're doing. And when everybody is, a race grifter and they agreeing with this. What the media is doing, because they think they're stupid, is called manufacturing consent, okay? What they're trying to get you to think is everybody thinks what they think. That's why they call J.D. Vance weird because he has a wife and children, as opposed to Tim Walsh, who clearly is some kind of weirdo. I mean, clearly there's something wrong with that man. It's obvious there's something wrong with that man. He wants to abort everything that moves. He thinks children should be butchered and parents should have no say in it. He is an obviously strange, demented little man, and he's calling J.D. Vance weird, and the media is echoing that because they're trying to manufacture consent. They're trying to get you to feel like, I don't want to speak up because everybody thinks that we're racist. Everybody thinks if you say this, it's racist. If you point out, this, it's racist. If you point out that, it's sexist. If you tell the truth, it's, Islamophobic or homophobic or whatever. That's what they want to do. And they have this system. The system is this. The system is they tell you that they're not going to do something, they're going to stay to the right, and then the minute they do it, they tell you anybody who disagrees with them is terrible. Why do we have a gay month, a gay pride month? Why do we have to spend a month celebrating homosexuality? I'm incredibly tolerant about what people want to do in their personal lives. It's just not my business, and if God has a problem with it, that's their business to fix that. It's not my business to sit there and bother them. It has nothing to do with that. I don't celebrate homosexuality. I don't actually, maybe I celebrate heterosexuality because it creates marriages and children and all that, and I think that's great. But no, a month for gay pride, not even an hour. Not even an hour. Not because I dislike gay people. I love gay people, as you know. But still, I don't see why we have to celebrate. We have to celebrate it because they're manufacturing consent. They're making you think that you are the outlier. You are the outlier. And this is what drives me mad. They are abusing you. The media, these guys make a lot of money. People in media make good money. David Muir is making lots and lots of money. Lindsay Davis is making lots and lots of money. They do not know the lives most people live, and they detest you for it. And if it's a problem, they don't care. And so what they want to do is make you afraid. That's what David Muir gets. When he ties that beautiful tie he's got on, that's what he's thinking about. How can he make you afraid? How can he make you think that you're the outlier, that you're the crazy one, that you're the weird one? And that's just infuriating. And, I think it's the reason there's a Donald Trump. And this is why I get so annoyed with people on the right who hate Trump so much. I know he's got flaws. He's obvious. Look, we all have them, but he's a great big character, so he has great big flaws. And they think, the days of George W. Bush, the days of Mitt Romney, the days of John McCain. Well, baloney. During those days, the press ruled this country. And now that rule has been broken by the internet, that it's been cracked by the internet, Trump slipped through that crack because he was speaking with the voice of people who are tired of being lied to, who are tired of being told that they're the weird ones when they know they're not. That's why Trump is here. I don't think Trump would be here without the internet. I think the internet has changed everything. And the question is, do the American people have enough guts, enough manhood, enough testosterone to stand up to these wicked people? These are wicked people. Trump is right about them. It's one thing I've always said. If Trump is right, 100% right about anything, it's about the media. Do we have enough manhood left and enough real womanhood left to stand up to these people and understand what they are trying to do? With all the chaos in Washington these days, it's easy to get caught up in the 24-hour news cycle. But while we're fighting the good fight against the radical left, we can't forget about our own home front. I'm talking about protecting your family's futures. Being a conservative means being prepared, and that includes having a solid life insurance plan. That's where Policygenius comes in, the country's leading online insurance marketplace. Instead of relying on some bureaucrat to decide your family's future, you take control. Policygenius helps you find the right life insurance policy at the best price so you can focus on the things that really matter. With Policygenius, you can find life insurance policies that start at just $292 per year for $1 million of coverage. Some options even offer same-day approval and avoid unnecessary medical exams. That's right, for less than what some people spend on coffee each year, you could secure your family's future. Plus, their technology lets you compare quotes from America's top insurers faster than CNN can spread fake news. And if you need help, they've got real licensed agents standing by. So here's the deal. While we're busy with the culture war, let's also make sure our families are taken care of. Be ready for the future with Policygenius. Head to policygenius.com/Klavan or click the link in the description to get your free life insurance quotes and see how much you could save. That's policygenius.com/Klavan. How do you spell Klavan? Here's a little song to tell you.
There are no easy Klavan.
Chapter 3, what I see in the New York Times. Now, I was talking about Matt's movie, Am I Racist? And again, go out and buy it. I know I'm asking you to buy a lot of stuff, A Woman Underground and Against the Corporate Media and membership and, Am I Racist? I'm pitching a lot of stuff and I know it. And I don't like to promote myself at all, but I do want to say that these are the things, this is where the fight is. I know, the fight is in the ballot box, elections matter, but the way you win elections is by changing the culture. And that's what we're trying to do here. And I know we're not the only people trying to do it, but if we're not the leaders on the right in trying to change the culture, I don't know who is. I don't know who else has got a novel coming out and a movie coming out and books coming out and all the things that we're doing anywhere else on the right. We're playing the long game, Believe me, I'm not trying to sell this book because, I want that money. You don't make that much money on a book. I'm trying to get through to people on another level that will change things down the road, because I'll talk about this later on, but we panic all the time and we always think everything has to be done now. But the left is smart. The left plays a long game. Even their lies are a way of playing the long game. Anyway, after watching Am I Racist, my son, Spencer Klavan, no relation, said, this movie, he wrote about this on his Substack, I think, which is called Rejoice Evermore. He wrote about the fact that this is really a movie not about race, but about class. Because Walsh, I got to say one thing about Walsh, is he will walk into any place, and he walks into some places like a biker bar, and he walks into like some very poor black neighborhoods. In those neighborhoods, they're not interested in race at all. They keep saying to him, why do you keep, and he's doing it all in his funny character, and they keep saying to him, why do you keep mentioning race? You just got to love people for who they are. And, sure, you think about, I can see the difference between a black person and a white person, but still, you got to love people, the way they are. And it's only when you go to the elites, because remember, when they say you, they mean them. When they're trying to manufacture consent, it's only they come up with these incredibly stupid ideas. The idea, for instance, that you've got to purge from your mind any sense of what, any sense of whiteness. You've got to decenter your white, all this nonsense. It can only be believed among elites sitting in a room where there are no black people. It's because, the working class, I noticed this a long time ago when I was traveling the country. I was a drifter for years, and I would travel around the country, and I would go down south, and I think we in the North talk about the people down south as if they're all racist, but they're actually sitting shoulder to shoulder at lunch counters, while in the North, it's much more segregated. L.A., you want to talk about a segregated city, go to L.A., that's a segregated city, and not a segregated city when you're all kind of working class and, working together. So, you want to know what the New York Times is up to. And the reason I talk about the New York Times is because they think that they are cutting edge, but what they really are is the old establishment left. Because the left now is the establishment in the culture, right? And I compiled this section that I'm going to do right now on Thursday, and then on Friday, law professor Jonathan Turley wrote almost the same column for the Wall Street Journal. So you are listening, folks, to a novelist who has the brains of a law professor. The left always says when people tell you who they are, believe them. Well, if you read the New York Times, the establishment left, they are hammering away at marriage all the time, as I talk about that with their bad sexual advice. I gave you good sexual advice if you were on Member Block a couple of weeks ago. But they're hammering away at the Constitution. Kamala Harris said that Donald Trump doesn't like the Constitution when they don't get what they want. Here are some of the articles that have appeared recently in the New York Times. The Constitution is sacred. Is it also dangerous? One of the biggest threats to America's politics might be the country's founding document. This is by Times nonfiction book critic Jennifer Zaleh. She says the United States Constitution is in trouble because of Donald Trump. She says it's no surprise that liberals charge Trump with being a menace to the Constitution, but his presidency and the prospect of his reelection have also generated another very different argument that Trump owes his political assent to the Constitution. So he's a danger to the Constitution, which is a danger because it allowed Donald Trump to get elected. And of course, this is about the Electoral College, because the Electoral College stops power from coagulating in coastal urban states where Democrats and the elite rule, where they can be them and you get to be you because of the Electoral College. Here's another one. The Constitution is broken and should not be reclaimed. This is by Daniel Moyne and Ryan Dorfler, professors at Harvard and Yale. They say when liberals lose in the Supreme Court, as they increasingly have over the past half century, they usually say that the justices got the Constitution wrong. But struggling over the Constitution has proved a dead end. The real need is not to reclaim the Constitution, as many would have it, but instead to reclaim America from constitutionalism. When they tell you who they are, believe them. In other words, when the court gets the Constitution right, we don't get what we want, the Constitution and the court should be changed, which includes, by the way, Joe Biden and plan, and Kamala Harris has endorsed this plan to pack the court using term limits. It sounds like, oh yeah, maybe term limits is a good idea. No, that's a way of actually packing the court, and to use ethics rules to strip the court of its independence, because the ethics rules would be enforced by another branch, maybe Congress, so that would take away the court's independence and give people like, what's his name, Whitehouse, the thuggish power they want to threaten the Supreme Court when it doesn't give them the decisions they want. Here's another one. Let's Give Up on the Constitution by Louis Michael Seidman, law professor at Georgetown. All in the New York Times. This is all in the New York Times. When they tell you who they are, believe them. As the nation teeters at the edge of fiscal chaos, observers are reaching the conclusion that the American system of government is broken. But almost no one blames the culprit, our insistence on obedience to the Constitution with all its archaic, idiosyncratic, and downright evil provisions. Consider, for example, the assertion by the Senate Minority Leader last week that the House could not take up a plan by Senate Democrats to extend tax cuts on households making $250,000 or less because the Constitution requires that revenue measures originate in the lower chamber. Why should anyone care? So, in other words, our system of government has to be dismantled so this guy can get what he wants. Why should anyone care who is in charge of spending? Well, it's because that's the way the system is built. Otherwise, it's just this guy feels that there should be a tax cut, so there should be a tax cut. They want to bring back the age of kings. They're fascists, basically. They want to bring back the age of fascists. You know, socialists and fascists are the same people. I've said this before. They're two sides of a single coin without a center. They are actually just people who want the power to accrue at the top because that's where they think they are. They think they can get power, hold power, and they don't want anybody to take it away because they despise you. They despise you. I mean, it's amazing how deeply, and you can't love freedom if you hate the people, right? You can't love freedom if you hate the people because freedom is for the people. Here's one more. Jamel Bouie, one of their columnists. We had to force the Constitution to accommodate democracy, and it shows. So their argument is basically Trump is a danger to the Constitution, and the Constitution is a danger itself. What's the problem then? If Trump's a danger to the Constitution, and the Constitution is a danger, who's the solution? Them. It's them. They should have all the power. Stop doing this. You know, James Madison understood that a large-scale republic would collapse. A large-scale democracy always collapses, right? That's how Rome spread so far and it started to collapse. So he said the states, the reason that wouldn't happen to America is the states would preserve democracy by being small republics. That's why they want to keep the Electoral College. My question is this: if they think that their ideas are so much better than our ideas, that they are so much smarter than the average man, let me ask this: what is their proof of that? What ideas do they have? There's stupid DEI, defund the police. What a stupid idea. DEI, let's hire people according to the color of the skin. What a stupid idea. COVID, the way they treated COVID, the worst failure of a governing class since World War I. They brought in sex education and promiscuity and pregnancy and abortion all spread. Obamacare has destroyed the healthcare system. What is their proof that their ideas should rule without any kinds of checks and balances provided by the Constitution? Their proof is their own bloated egos and their own lies. Men, have you heard of Rose Sparks? This dual-action prescription merges the powerhouse ingredients found in generic Viagra and Cialis, sildenafil and tadalafil, into one formidable treatment. It's not merely about the ingredients in the medication, though. It's how you take it. That's why Rose Sparks are designed to dissolve under your tongue. That's huge because dissolvable treatment hits your bloodstream faster than old-school pills. Rose Sparks keeps you present with your partner instead of waiting for a pill to work. Rose Sparks leverages the benefits of sublingual administration. What does that mean? It means the tablet dissolves under your tongue. This method allows for fast absorption directly into the bloodstream, bypassing the digestive system. The result, quicker onset of action, reducing the wait time typically associated with traditional pills. Plus, tadalafil, the active ingredient in Cialis, lasts in the system for up to 36 hours. So when the mood is right, you'll be ready without another dose. To get $15 off your first order and find out if prescription Rose Sparks are right for you, connect with a provider at ro.co/Klavan. That's ro.co/Klavan for $15 off your first order. Compounded drugs are permitted to be prescribed under federal law, but are not FDA approved and do not undergo FDA safety, effectiveness, or manufacturing review. Only available if prescribed after an online consultation with a provider. Also, it's good to know how to spell Klavan, Klavan. Final chapter, what I find in the Gospels. One of the things that disturbs me on the right is the panic and despair and the clinging to conspiracy theories that sort of make you feel powerless and wild ideas that, that the end is near, and if we lose the election, we should have a civil war, and we can never defeat the media because they're going to lie about everything. And if we lose, haven't we lost the country? We're always saying this is the most important election of our lifetime. Who knows? Who knows if it is or not? I always like to quote Gilbert and Sullivan, two of the great, hilarious British operetta writers of the 19th century, and they wrote a song in a operetta called Iolanthe. It was where they say, "I often think it's comical how nature always does contrive that every boy and every gal that's born into the world alive is either a little liberal or else a little conservative." And the reason I quote that is because it suggests something that is true, that conservatives and liberals are the way they are because of their inborn nature. I think that's partly true. Obviously, there are other things. I'm actually a naturally liberal person, but logic has put me on the conservative side. But still, I think most conservatives have a nature. One of the things that conservatives have a nature for is seeing how things are intricately woven together so that if you pull one string, the entire suit might fall apart. And sometimes that actually does happen, but sometimes it doesn't happen. There's a lot of ruin in a nation, and a lot of things can go wrong before the nation falls. Now, here's what I want you to notice. I'm a guy who loves movies, and I especially love old movies. I'm always hammering the young people at the DailyWire, watch old movies. They go, but they're in black and white. I can't understand them. But still, you can understand them. Here's a funny thing I've noticed. In the movies, when a guy makes a sacrifice or a girl makes a sacrifice, we love him for it. We know he's the hero. Casablanca, the greatest American movie ever made. When Rick gives up the woman he loves, he becomes the hero. Field of Dreams. I don't know if you remember the scene where Burt Lancaster sacrifices being a famous baseball star in order to return to his career as a hometown doctor. It's one of the big sob scenes in the movie. It's a Wonderful Life. You've probably seen at Christmas time. A guy sacrifices success and fame for family and friends. And so he never becomes as famous, never gets to travel the world. He never becomes as rich. He just, he's always living in a house that doesn't work. All of these sacrifices we understand in the movies as being noble and beautiful. But in real life, we disdain people who lose the girl, who don't become as successful at their work, who aren't famous, don't become famous, become an obscure doctor in a small town instead of a big baseball star. I've never even heard of you. You remember, if you go online, you don't have as many followers as somebody else, and you're not, I don't even know who you are, And we even admire men who sleep around a lot and call them alpha men, which I think is really mistaken. And this is why I'm always hammering people who look down on mothers, because mothers do walk away from career. They do walk away from fame in order to sacrifice that kind of thing for a life of love, a life of generosity, a life of giving to other people. Those bumper stickers you sometimes see that bad girls, make history. Well, Hitler made history too. That's not necessarily a award. We disdain in real life what we admire at the movies. And this is true in the Gospels too. We admire Jesus for sacrificing his life. But in real life, we're the people screaming for Barabbas. Give us Barabbas. Give us the guy who staged a revolt against Rome. Give us the guy who was killed, not this guy, this wimpy guy who won't even speak up for himself. The difference is this. In the movies, when someone makes a sacrifice, we see him do it. We see him become a hero. But in real life, when you make a sacrifice, sometimes nobody knows. They only see the price you pay. They only see the fact that you go to the cross. They only see the fact that you lose the girl. They only see the fact that you don't have as many followers on whatever your social media is as the guy, who didn't make those sacrifices. When you really make a sacrifice, when you die to protect someone, when your career is put aside so you can be a mother, when you do the right thing and it costs you your job, you speak up and it costs you your job, no one sees that nobility. That happens in private. That's something that, as Jesus will tell you, only God sees. This disparity between art and life is why people don't understand the real message of Christianity, which is that Christianity is not a practical religion. It's not a religion that promises you that things will go well if you do what Jesus says. In fact, it promises you will find a cross of some kind. Maybe that cross is less pay. Maybe that cross is losing a girl that you wanted. Maybe a cross is not getting the hot girl you could have because you're going to be true to your family and to your wife. Those sacrifices. When Jesus said things like, love your enemies, don't judge, which he did say. He said, do not judge. He didn't say, don't judge, but he said, do not judge. He says, if you love those that love you, what credit it is to you? Even sinners do that. Love your enemies. That's not good advice. That is not good advice unless you believe in developing your soul for something other than this world. I said at the beginning, politics is just an expression of this world. And sometimes you lose because you do the right thing, and sometimes you lose because you're in the right. So the question is, how are you going to live? Are you going to live upset every day that the world we live in is a world that's run by the enemy, right? Are we going to live upset that when we do the right thing, when we care for our souls, sometimes we pay a price? I mean, that's what the Bible told us was going to happen. Are we going to live upset about this all the time? Or are we going to fight the fight because it's the right thing to do, and fight the fight with gladness because it's the right thing to do? When Donald Trump got shot and he lifted his fist and said, fight, 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 that's actually preaching the gospel. He didn't say win, win, win. You don't know if you're going to win. That's with God. It's God to decide the outcome of an election. And that's why I don't like to hear conservatives panicking and complaining and moping, because the world is hard, because politics is hard, because people believe lies, because people do lie, right? And because people cheat and don't want you to be free. And they don't want you to be free. Kamala Harris doesn't want you to be free. The New York Times doesn't want you to be free. The elite doesn't want you to be free. They don't want you to have a voice. And they might win. They might win. But not today. Today we're still here. Today we have our health. Today we have our families. We have our God always. And we're going to fight, fight, fight. And that's the point. This is the day that we're given. We have to rejoice in it and be glad. And we have to fight, fight, fight. The wait is over. Today's the day. The Daily Wire's first ever theatrical release, Am I Racist?, is now playing in over 1,500 theaters across the nation. You heard that right. Over 1,500 theaters coast to coast are showing Am I Racist? The demand has been nothing short of shocking to the movie industry. Theaters were selling out during pre-sale, something that rarely happens. With your help, we're proving Hollywood wrong and taking on the left and their weird agenda with the most outrageous comedy to hit the big screen since Borat. This is important. The only way to see Am I Racist is in theaters starting today. Don't wait. Head over to amiRacist.com, type in your city or zip code, and grab your tickets and showtimes now. Let's make this opening weekend impossible to ignore. Get your tickets, fill those seats, and help us dominate the box office this weekend. Klavan Klapbacks.
F you, Taylor Swift.
Ah, yes, poor Taylor Swift. She doesn't know anything. Come on, leave her alone. She wants to sing. She's got the teardrops on her guitar, whatever. That's what she does. All right. Before we get to the Klavan Klapbacks, there's something that's really, I've been kind of asking around about this. A lot of women have been telling me that they want to be married and they can't find husbands. And I'm talking about a substantial number of women have been telling this. And some of them are just writing to me, so I don't know what they look like or who they are. But some of them I know and I've talked to, and they're beautiful and they're lovely people. And they look like they would make like great wives. And they're saying to me, no, you can't find men because men can, and some of them have, few of them have said to me, men can sleep with anyone, so they don't want to commit. And, I don't believe that because I don't look around and see men sleeping with anybody. In an open sex market, and when sex becomes open and there's no, resistance among women, a very small number of men get most of the women. The guys who are players and know how to do this stuff. And those are the guys who really don't make very good husbands. The guys who are going to cheat on you down the line. Whereas what you want is the kind of stolid guy who wants a woman and gets that woman and then sticks to that woman and loves her. And, that's what you're looking for. And so my question is, what's going on? And I can't, I suggested to my wife I should run some tests by going out and dating some 20-year-old women. And she had a different suggestion, which she was going to cut my throat with a dull blade. So maybe that's not the best way for me to handle this. I want young people, and don't write to me if you're an old person who thinks you have an idea of what's going on. Write to me if you're a younger person, married or not married, who is watching what's going on and can tell me what is happening. What is happening in the dating scene that lovely young women, not just physically, but also personally, can't find guys? Why is that? What is actually going on? So just let me know, and then I will read the first question. All right. So please, Klavan, it's Klavan Klapbacks at DailyWire.com. Klavan Klapbacks at DailyWire.com. Klavan with a K, Klapbacks with a K at DailyWire.com. Write in and tell me what you think is going on in the dating world that I can't find out about because my wife won't let me. All right. From Abraham, regarding your idea that anti-Semitism is a hatred of God, although sometimes it surely is, how would you explain something like the Spanish Inquisition, the Crusades, Martin Luther King, and many more examples of anti-Semitism coming from the church, of which most of Jewish European history consists of? Yeah, first of all, I made a distinction. I can explain a lot of that, but I make a distinction between polite anti-Semitism, because I think we, everybody's got tribal instincts. Black people, white people, Jews, Christians, we all hate each other, But I think we can overcome that. That's just like this kind of natural thing. And this is one of the big lies of the left. We have to expunge from our minds every sense that we're proud of our tribe, and we sometimes look askance at the other person. It's just human nature. It's not a big deal. The big deal is that virulent hatred, that Ku Klux Klan hatred of black people, that hatred of Jews where you think they run everything and they're destroying everything, which is just garbage. As I said on Backstage, if the Jews are bad for America, how come the same people who want death to America also want death to the Jews? Doesn't make any sense. So all of this stuff, it's that virulent hatred that I believe has to do with the fact that in the West, we worship a Jewish God. We worship the God of Abraham, the God of Jacob, Isaac, and that's what people are angry about. And I can prove that. I have the receipts because people have written about it. Philosophers have written about it. And, complaining that why did we base our society on Jewish people when they want us to take care of the poor and, love our neighbors? I hate that. That's what they hate. The other thing about this, and I write about this in my memoir, there's a chapter in my memoir, The Great Good Thing, called This Thing of Darkness, which is about anti-Semitism, because I had to overcome my dislike of Christian anti-Semitism before I could embrace the love of Christ. And so I write about this, is that to really be a Christian, you have to understand that the Jews in the Christian story, in the gospel story, and in all of the Bible, represent all mankind. God chose the Jews to reintroduce himself after the fall to all of mankind. So the Jews are everybody. They're all of us. And that means that when you look at the crucifixion and you see people cheering for Barabbas and crucify him, that's you. When you see Pilate washing his hands and letting Jesus be led off to his death, that's you. When you see the religious leaders, saying we've got to crucify this guy, he's a heretic, that's your religion. It doesn't matter if it's the Jews in the book. The Jews represent everybody in the book. So the hatred of Jews in that case is still part of the hatred of what Christianity is telling us, which we kill God all the time, by doing the wrong thing, by putting our own interests above morality, by not acting with integrity, by not acting in truth, because it's going to cost us, because it's going to be that sacrifice that we don't want to make, that we admire in the movies, but don't admire in real life. And that is, I think, why the Jews get the scapegoated, because if we don't scapegoat the Jews, then we have to look at ourselves, and nobody, God forbid, we ever do that. All right, we're going to go into member block. Become a member today. Please, again, once more, before I say that, please, again, write to Klavan Klapbacks at DailyWire.com and answer this question. If you're a younger person in the dating world, or even if you're a younger married person, let me know what you think is going on. Also become a member so you don't get dumped into the Klavanless eternity, that kind of utter darkness that just goes down and down and down, ends in flames, and then keeps going down through the flames into even deeper darkness, even hotter flames. Become a member today if you don't want that to happen to you right now. It'll happen to you eventually anyway, but if you don't want it to happen right now, go to dailywire.com/subscribe. Use code Klavan at checkout for 2 months free on all annual plans. If you are already a member, why the blessing of member block is upon you.
Republicans are Nazis. You cannot separate yourselves from the bad white people.
Growing up, I never thought much about race. It never really seemed to matter that much, at least not to me. Am I racist?
I would really appreciate it if you left.
I'm trying to learn. I'm on this journey.
If I'm going to sort this out, I need to go deeper undercover.
They gon' say I'm racist.
Joining us now is Matt, certified DEI expert.
Here's my certification. And what you're doing is you're stretching out of your whiteness. This is more for you in this field. Is America inherently racist?
The word inherent is challenging there.
I want to rename the George Washington Monument to the George Floyd Monument.
America is racist to its bones.
So inherently.
Yeah, this country is a piece of
white
Folks,
White.
trash, white supremacy, white woman, white boy.
Is there a black person around? What's a black person right here? Does he not
They gon'
exist?
say I'm racist.
Hi, Robin.
Hi, what's your name?
I'm Matt.
Just had to ask who you are because you have to be careful.
Never be too careful.
They gon' say you racist.
In theaters now. Rated PG-13.